My name is Araya Kim, and today I'm gonna draw Ninomae Inanis. God, what the hell? Where is this music coming from? As you can tell if you watch any of my other videos, instead of my usual 58-second speed paint shorts, I thought I'd try my hand at an actual voiceover. Like I said, today I'm gonna be drawing Ninomae Inanis. No, stop it! Now, for those of you who don't know, Ninomae Inanis, affectionately known as Ina, is a VTuber. Most of you probably already know what a VTuber is, but for those of you who don't, all it really boils down to is that VTubers are cute anime girls doing live streaming things on YouTube. There are a lot of VTubers, all of whom have very unique designs. There are human girls, elf girls, cat girls, puppy girls, dragon girls, phoenix girls, the personification of the sweet release of death, and then there's Ina. Ina in particular has a gorgeous design that I personally love. Now trust me when I say I could spend the entire video talking about all the things that make her so darn cute, because there really are a lot of those things. But the most striking of Ina's features is that, well, she has tentacles. Massive purple tentacles. Let's get drawing. First of all, let's get the technical stuff out of the way. I'll be using a Japanese art software called Paint Tool Sai for everything. You can use any art software you want, such as Photoshop or Clip Studio Paint. If you want free alternatives, there's Medibang and Krita. There's nothing really unique about Sai compared to other high quality art software. It's just that Sai is a really lightweight program, and I like a lot of Sai's default settings and user interface. Now as you can see, I've already drawn the basic sketch using the default brush. I've lowered the opacity of that layer to a point where I can still see the sketch, but not have it interfere with any of my new lines. As I get started on a brand new layer, you'll notice right away that I'm able to move my lines after drawing them. That's because I'm using the pen tool instead of the brush. This allows me to get away with erasing a lot less than I normally would, since I can just move the lines after drawing them. If you're just getting into digital art and don't have a drawing tablet yet, I guarantee that it's entirely possible to draw and make digital art using a trackpad or a mouse. I do use the cheap drawing tablet that I bought online, but for the longest time I actually made digital art by drawing sketches on paper, taking a picture of it on my phone, then using my laptop's trackpad and the pen tool on that picture. It was really janky, and making art took forever, but it worked. Don't let the lack of equipment stop you from making the art you want. Anyway, right now I'm slowly filling in the details of the drawing. I like incorporating a lot of angles into my art. Whenever I can get away with it, I'd purposely choose sharper bends over more gradual curves. Now, as I'm drawing these wings, I want to make them detailed, but not too detailed. When I look at the wings in real life, I know that the individual feathers are there, but I mostly see them as one big mass. Plus, not a lot of people want to see the feathers sticking out of the skin underneath. I also want to keep the feathers flowing in the same general direction. This is where the pen tool really comes in handy. I know where I want my lines to go, but I can't always draw it that way. Instead of just drawing, erasing, and redrawing my lines until I'm satisfied, I just draw the line, then move and bend it to where I want it to be. Now I'm going to do the other wing, and it's going to be the same process. I make sure to reference the first wing so that my feathers end up at roughly the same sizes and shapes. Although the feathers on this wing will end up slightly bigger due to the way I angled Ina in the initial sketch. You'll notice that my line weight varies from thin to thick and back to thin again. This is because the tablet I'm using has pen pressure, and the harder I push the pen, the thicker the line gets. Sai supports pen pressure quite well, and you can change the settings to get as thin or thick a line as you want. At any rate, for the next little while, I'll be going about completing the line art. I use the initial sketch mostly as a loose guide. I don't worry too much about placement, since I can move it later if the line looks too wrong. When it comes to hands, I know that a lot of artists struggle with getting them to look good. I still struggle with them too, so I often use my own hands as reference. Ina is a fantastic digital artist herself, so I knew I wanted her to be holding a tablet pen in one of her hands. I ended up taking a picture of my left hand and using that, so in case you're wondering why I don't draw hands with dainty fingers, it's really only because my own hands are big. Now, here I'm drawing in the details of Ina's Necronomicon. Apparently, she picked it up one day and started being able to summon and control tentacles. Fun fact, the Japanese written on the cover of her book basically says that the Necronomicon was a prize for some sort of supermarket giveaway or lottery. Wow, talk about lucky. For the tentacles, I decided to use thicker lines because I wanted there to be a contrast between Ina's body and her tentacles. Ina is small and has a lot of details, so thinner lines work well for drawing her main body. Meanwhile, her tentacles are large and muscular, so I thought that thicker, bolder lines would look good for them. With most of the line art now done, it's just about time to start putting in some base colors. One thing I really like about Sai is that it has a selection brush that I can use to accurately select the areas I want, and a deselection brush in case I accidentally select a part I don't want. I use these two mostly to block in any gaps between my lines. I then go in and select the full area that I want with a magic wand tool, which is pretty standard on most art software nowadays. Anyway, I'm gonna continue filling in the base colors. Ina wears a dark dress, has dark hair, and she uses dark gloves, which I like to imagine are just full finger versions of artist gloves like mine. She has fair skin, she wears purple accessories, and complements all those purple tentacles in dark colors with a bright orange headpiece and skirt. After a little while, I fill in her beautiful eyes with a bright sky blue, and then get started on her book. The book itself is the same color as her hair and eyes, and has some sort of esoteric design on the front. Oh, and I fill in the actual sky behind her with a darker fading blue. After filling in the base colors, I got to work on those gorgeous tentacles, starting with adding Ina's orange suckers. Now, keep in mind that I chose not to completely fill the bottom side of her tentacles with suckers, because I felt that it would add too much busyness to an already busy picture. I do this for a little while, eventually using the magic wand and fill tools to turn them a dark orange. When I'm done with those, I get to the most tedious part of the coloring process. So, Ina actually likes decorating the dark purple flesh of her tentacles to make them look cute. So I chose the default brush and started painting tentacles with a pattern, using the same light purple color I used for the underside. The pattern I'm painting is actually the Louis Vuitton pattern, except I replaced the LV with little hearts. With that out of the way, I use the magic wand tool to select Ina and her tentacles, and separate her from the sky. I go to a new layer and fill her outline with purple. The purple serves as a base shadow layer, and from there, I erase parts of the purple to reveal Ina underneath. I then turn the shadow layer's blending mode to multiply, and then proceed to clean up as much of the shadow edges as I can. Now, there's a point in every piece of art where the artist is in danger of getting lost in the flow, and for me, is during this phase. I could spend hours upon hours trying to get the shadows just right. The perfectionist in me wants to nitpick every flaw in every area and find a million little things to improve upon. Just a little more shading here, just a touch up there, and suddenly it would be 4 in the morning, 2 days have gone by with zero sleep, and the piece still isn't finished yet. Eventually I tear myself away from the shading and remember that the sides of Ina's hair actually end up as bright orange tentacles. So I select those areas and use the gradient tool to fill them in. I also use the gradient tool to introduce some gradation into the rest of the base colors. After that's done, I begin the final phase of the coloring process, the highlighting. I use a pure white brush and short, sharp strokes to put highlights in the various areas I wanted them in. Now, normally, an artist would put highlights depending on where the light source is, but in my case, I just really like putting highlights everywhere. It's not technically proper, but I'd rather a piece look good than be proper. And with that, we're in the home stretch. So here it is, the finished Ina picture. I messed around with a couple of overlays and added that beautiful streak of color from her tablet pen. I gotta say, it really tidied up the entire thing. This is my first real video, and honestly, it was a lot of fun. Subscribe to this channel for more videos like this in the future. Like the video if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, and if you have any questions or suggestions on who I should draw next, just tell me in the comments or something. My name is Araya Kim, thanks for watching.